Kia ora everyone, Will here. Sarah from Northern Rocks Climbing Gym has asked me to put together a quick video about fingerboarding during the COVID-19 lockdown, where we're all having to train at home and hopefully not lose all the climbing fitness that we've been gaining recently. So there are really two main kinds of ways to use the fingerboard. There's lots of fingerboard protocols out there on the internet, but loosely you could divide them into two main categories. The first category would be a repeater style workout. The classic one is the Anderson Brothers workout, where you're hanging on a hold for 7 seconds, resting for 3 seconds, hang for 7 seconds, rest for 3 seconds, and you repeat that for a number of repetitions, somewhere between say 5 and 8 repetitions, and then you take a rest, usually 3 to 5 minute rest between sets. And that kind of workout, repeater style workout, is really useful for building long-term muscle growth and hypertrophy in the forearms, getting motor units to fire more quickly and to work together. So that's a really useful one to do, probably why it's so popular. The other type of fingerboard workout you can do is what I would call a max hang workout, popularized by Eva Lopez, but there are other versions of it out there too. And this is where you are hanging on a grip, an edge, for 10 seconds, and the hang is extremely difficult, either because you're hanging on a very, very small edge, or because you're hanging with extra weight added to your body. And after that single 10-second hang, you're taking a big rest, 3, 4, 5 minute rest before you do another repetition. So that's the max hangs method. I actually use both, and I have for a long time, partly as an insurance policy because no one can agree on which is the best method, but also because, as I understand it from the literature, they're sort of doing different things. The repeater style workout, again, as I said, is encouraging long-term muscle growth or hypertrophy, increase in muscle size over time, whereas the max hang style doesn't necessarily create muscle growth, but it does create such a shock or a stimulus to the muscle you already have that it helps to recruit that muscle to fire to as close to its maximum capacity as possible. So even if you did repeater style fingerboard workouts for the next 5 years, and you built some great finger strength, you wouldn't necessarily be tapping fully into that. You might be only using 50, 60, 70, 80% of your capacity. And the max hangs, what they do is they help unlock that capacity to push you closer and closer to using 100% of what that muscle is capable of. So in a moment, I'll take you down to my fingerboard. I'll show you how to do both kinds of protocol. I'll put some notes below with some links to different versions of both the repeater style and the max hangs, including the most popular versions, which would be the Anderson Brothers and Eva Lopez versions respectively. On the fingerboard, I'll show you how to warm up properly, and also some ideas for how you can actually incorporate some extra training even while you're warming up on the fingerboard as well. Things like core training, pull-ups, Frenchies, all that kind of stuff. So let's head down to the fingerboard and check it out. Kia ora guys, okay, we're down here in my super ghetto training area at home. I don't have anywhere to put a fingerboard inside my house, so there it is up on a beam underneath the extension to our house. It's really simple. It's a fingerboard I designed. It's got a 20mm edge, 15mm edge, and 10mm edge. So the most important thing, whatever finger protocol you're doing, is to warm up first. So the way I like to warm up is actually by hanging on a really large edge to start with and progressively working my way down the edges until I get to the one that I'm going to be training on later on in the workout. And also, to save myself from dying from boredom while I'm warming up, I do other exercises while I'm hanging to get a bit of a workout in. So I will do core exercises, knee raises, leg raises, front levers. I'll do pull-ups, all that kind of stuff. So for instance, I'll be warming up on this 20mm edge here by doing some front levers and just taking my time, letting my fingers get really nice and warm. Okay, so I've spent about 10 minutes warming up my fingers, and now I'm going to show you a repeater style workout. I've got my liquid chalk. You can use whatever kind of chalk you want. You don't even have to use chalk if you want to make it a little bit harder, but I like to use liquid chalk. I feel like it's nice and grippy and tacky, lets me give a maximum effort while I'm on fingerboard. So if you remember the repeater style, the most famous protocol is probably the Anderson Brothers protocol, which is 7 seconds hanging, 3 seconds rest. That's one repetition, and you do between 5 to 8 repetitions, and then that's a set. And in between sets, you'll be taking at least 3 minutes rest, but 4 minutes or 5 minutes is even better. So I'll just demonstrate one set of a repeater style workout now. Cool. A couple of things I forgot to mention is that it's really important that when you're hanging, you don't just hang with completely straight arms and be hanging on your skeleton. You want to try and engage your shoulder, upper back muscles and your biceps, your arm muscles just a little bit. Just sort of giving a little tug and making sure there's tension and engagement through all those muscles so you don't end up injuring your joints. So it's really important to have that engagement. Now I'm going to demonstrate the max hangs method. So the max hangs method is where you are hanging on an edge for 10 seconds and then resting for at least 3, 4, or 5 minutes afterwards. Of course, if you're only going to be hanging for 10 seconds and taking such a big rest, you can guess that the hangs are going to be very, very difficult, either because you're hanging on a very small edge or because you're adding weight to your body. Now for me, the smallest edge I have is 10 millimeters, and for that to be challenging enough for me to do a max hang, I actually have to add weight to my body. For adding weight to your body, you can use a climbing harness and add weights to your climbing harness. I actually have a dipping belt that you would use like in a weights gym. I just find it more comfortable. It's this here, so that goes around my waist, and I can attach just a piece of scrap rope through these loopholes and run that through some weight plates. So I'll be doing that now. I'll add some extra weight, and I'll demonstrate one very heavy 10-second hang on the fingerboard. Hey guys, okay, so we've demonstrated the two main kinds of fingerboard protocol, and you're probably thinking, well, which one should I do? There's a number of answers to that. You could do either one for the next 4 weeks or however long it is we're in lockdown, and see some great gains. So it's hard to go wrong in terms of picking a fingerboard protocol. What I'm going to suggest, however, is that you have a go at what I'm doing, which is actually to alternate between the two. And my rationale for that is that changing up the stimuli that your muscles receive forces them to adapt a lot quicker than if you just do the same thing every other day for weeks at a time. So I'm actually going to be alternating between repeaters and max hangs. I'll be doing repeaters on day 1, then taking a rest day for day 2, and then on day 3 I'll do max hangs, then another rest day, and then back to repeaters. And that's my basic model. I basically just keep repeating that for the lockdown period. If at any point I feel like my fingers are getting tweaky, I'm feeling like the pulleys and tendons here are getting sore, I'll take a break. I'll probably refer to, if I am feeling like I'm getting injured, or you feel like you're getting injured, have a look online. There's some great stuff on Training Beta and Power Company Climbing about how to rehab finger injuries actually using a fingerboard to create blood flow to the area. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, don't get injured, don't be silly, don't push yourself so hard that you're flying off or popping off the fingerboard. That's not okay. For a particular rep, a particular set, you want to be getting to the point where it's getting hard to maintain good form, and then you're stopping. Not to the point where you just absolutely failing and popping right off the fingerboard. That's really dangerous. Cool. All right. Well, let me know how you go with your fingerboard sessions. Best of luck, and hopefully more people will share some workouts and training ideas over the weeks to come.